What if I told you a wheel that was bolted on tight 20 laps earlier could still come off? That's exactly what happened to William Byron on Sunday, and his crew chief just broke down how it happened. Stick around because this explanation is honestly wild. And hey, real quick, if you are a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation News is just getting started. We are pushing for our next subscriber milestone, and it's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every week. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with what happened on track. This has been a frustrating summer for William Byron, and it added another chapter on Sunday at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Byron lost a left rear wheel and crashed into the turn 3 wall. He was running 4th at the time. And this wasn't early in the race either. It happened on lap 233. A left rear wheel coming off while running inside the top 5 is about as bad a break as you can get. And it's about to get even stranger because of when that wheel was actually put on. Before we get into the mechanics of it, let's talk about where this leaves Byron in the standings, because the timing here really matters. Byron had already been hovering around 7th in the championship standings before the summer swoon. Now he sits 12th. Here's the good news. He is locked into the chase for the championship, so this crash doesn't knock him out of the playoffs. But the fall has cost him ground. Instead of heading into the playoffs with a deficit of around 55 points behind Denny Hamlin, he could now be looking at something more like 75 to 85 points behind. And remember, the playoffs are contested over the final 10 races. That's not a small hole to climb out of. Now here's the part that made this whole thing stand out. Those left side tires weren't put on during that pit stop. They were bolted on the previous run, 20 laps prior. The team had only come down to take right sides on this stop, so the wheel that came off wasn't even freshly installed. It had been on the car and running for 20 laps before it let go. Crew Chief Rudy Fugle addressed it on Monday on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio on the morning drive, and he chalked it up to a freak incident, not a forced error by his team. Fugle said that 9 times out of 10, or even 90 times out of 100, when they watch the video back from a left rear change, that lug looks tight. It snugs up, the gun stops, and everything appears normal. He said this one was one of those rare exceptions. He even mentioned that other crew chiefs stopped him on pit road afterward to tell him they'd had the exact same thing happen to them before. So how does a wheel come loose after looking secure? Fugle broke down the actual mechanics. The rotor has what's called a rotor hat, and it has drive pins. Those drive pins hold the wheel in place along with a single lug. On the back face of the wheel, there's a whole series of drive pin holes. Fugle estimated around 18 of them. On the car side, there are 6 or 8 drive pins. For everything to seat correctly, those pins and holes have to line just right. Fugle explained that a tire changer can cause a miss if there's a violent push during the change. And if that happens, the jackman has to recock the wheel to get it aligned properly. Here's what Fugle believes happened in Byron's case. He said it was misaligned by just 20 thousandths of an inch. That tiny gap dragged aluminum material against the drive pin, and that made it feel tight. The gun stopped, and by all appearances, the wheel was on securely. But then, after a restart and a couple of laps on track, that left rear wheel was already trying to work itself loose. That's actually normal wear during a run, but with the alignment already off, it eventually worked itself completely loose. Fugle called it a super unfortunate circumstance. When Fugle went back and watched the video, he said there was nothing fundamentally wrong with the pit stop itself. In his words, it was just a crappy circumstance, and there wasn't much the team could have done differently. Even so, there are consequences. As a result of the incident, Fugle and Byron will lose 2 pit crew members. Likely the tire changer and the jackman for Daytona and the Southern 500. That said, Fugle praised the depth of the Hendrick Motorsports pit department, and he said he expects very little competitive impact on their team heading into the bulk of the playoff races. So here's the big question for you. Do you buy Fugle's explanation that this was just a freak 20 thousandths of an inch misalignment, or do you think there's more to the story here? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like this video and subscribe to NASCAR Nation News. We'll see you in the next one.